A promotion just like that? I can't believe it, Jake. This is so sudden.
Juanita raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow at Jake. Her tone was a mixture of amusement and disbelief. She had always known Jake to be a hard worker, but this news was unexpected. Promotions in their company were rare and usually came after months of grueling evaluations and endless meetings.
That's what they told me. Fred's out. Arrested this morning. Embezzlement, they're saying. It's all over the office. People are in shock.
Juanita placed a comforting hand on his arm. She could see the turmoil in his eyes. Fred had been a mentor to many, including Jake. The news of his arrest was not just shocking, it was heartbreaking.
It's a big step, Jake. Are you sure you're ready for this? I mean, taking over Fred's position is no small feat. The responsibilities, the pressure, it's going to be intense.
He looked at her, his eyes reflecting the chaotic storm brewing in his mind. The weight of the unexpected promotion pressed down on him. He had always aspired to climb the corporate ladder, but not like this. Not under these circumstances.
Ready or not, it seems I don't have a choice. The company needs someone to step up, and I guess that someone is me. But it's all happening so fast, I haven't even had time to process Fred's arrest.
The weight of the unexpected promotion pressed down on him. The arrest of Fred, the jovial vice president, seemed surreal. Something didn't feel right. Fred had always been the life of the office, always cracking jokes and lifting everyone's spirits. The idea of him being involved in embezzlement was hard to swallow. The arrest of Fred, the jovial vice president, seemed surreal. Something didn't feel right. Jake replayed the events of the day in his mind. The suddenness of it all was overwhelming. One moment, Fred was leading a meeting, and the next, he was being escorted out in handcuffs. It was all too sudden, too convenient. It was all too sudden, too convenient. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. As he sat there, deep in thought, he knew that this evening of disbelief was just the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. The next morning, the office buzzed with hushed whispers. Jake walked through a maze of anxious glances and half-told rumors. The air was thick with suspicion.
Did you hear? They found something on Fred's computer, evidence they're calling it.
A voice hissed from behind a cubicle wall.
And the attack on Thomas, they say it's connected.
Another voice chimed in, laced with fear. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. Thomas, the head of security, was a close friend. Now he was lying in a hospital bed, the victim of a brutal attack. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered, and Jake felt a growing sense of dread. A notification blinked on his computer screen. It was late at night, and Jake was the only one left in the office. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional hum of the air conditioning. He had been working on a project that was due the next morning, and the last thing he needed was a distraction.
Jake 2.0 update successful. The words seemed to mock him, glowing ominously on the screen. He hadn't installed any updates, and the name Jake 2.0 inches sent a chill down his spine. It was as if the computer knew him personally, more intimately than any machine should.
Jake stared at it, a shiver crawling down his spine. He felt a growing sense of unease, as if he was being watched. The office, once a place of productivity and focus, now felt like a cage. He glanced around, half expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows. He hadn't initiated any updates. The thought gnawed at him. Who had access to his computer? Was it a hacker, a prank by a colleague, or something far more sinister? He tried to rationalize it, but the more he thought about it, the more unsettled he became. He tried to dismiss it, but the notification remained, a persistent reminder of something he couldn't grasp. It was as if the computer was taunting him, refusing to let him ignore the message. He clicked frantically, but nothing worked. The notification was there to stay. His phone buzzed, an unknown number. He hesitated for a moment before picking it up. "Hello?" he said, his voice trembling slightly. There was a pause on the other end, a silence that seemed to stretch on forever. The voice on the other end sent chills down his spine. It was cold, mechanical, almost inhuman. "Jake," it said, "you are not alone." The words echoed in his mind, each syllable dripping with menace.
You're a pawn, Jake, the voice continued. You're a pawn in a game you don't understand, but don't worry, you'll find out soon enough. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but his voice caught in his throat. Don't get too comfortable in your new chair. The voice's final words were a warning, a threat that left Jake paralyzed with fear. He looked around the office, the once familiar surroundings now alien and threatening.
The line went dead. Jake's blood ran cold. He dropped the phone, his hands shaking uncontrollably. He felt a wave of nausea wash over him. What was happening? Who was behind this? He had so many questions but no answers. He was in over his head, and he didn't even know the game being played. Fear gnawed at him. He felt like a puppet, his strings being pulled by an unseen hand. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every sound a potential danger. He was caught in a web of secrets, and the spider was playing for keeps. Jake knew he had to find out the truth, but he didn't know where to start. The only thing he was certain of was that his life would never be the same again. The shrill ringing of his phone shattered the tense silence. It was Jack, his only confidant in this madness.
Jake, you need to see this. It's about Thomas.
His voice was tight with urgency.
They just released footage of the attack. It's not what it seems.
Jake felt a surge of adrenaline. He grabbed his coat, his pulse quickening with each unanswered question echoing in his mind. He was about to step into a world of shadows, where nothing was as it appeared. He had to find out what really happened to Thomas, and he had to uncover the truth behind the Jake 2.0 update. The air hung heavy with the metallic scent of blood. Jake stared at the security footage playing on the monitor in Thomas's office.
The attack was swift, brutal, and eerily precise, but something wasn't right.
The attacker, masked and dressed in black, moved with an unsettling familiarity.
Look closer.
Jack pointed to the screen, his voice barely a whisper.
The attacker's hand. See that ring?
Jake's breath hitched. The ring was identical to one Fred always wore. A wave of nausea washed over him. He was walking a tightrope of deceit, and one wrong step could be his last.
The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together, revealing a picture far more sinister than I could have ever imagined. Fred's arrest, Thomas's attack, the cryptic phone call, it was all connected. But who was pulling the strings? And what was their endgame?
Jake stared at his reflection in the glass pane of Thomas's office window. His face looked gaunt, his eyes shadowed with doubt and fear. He was trapped in a game of corporate espionage, and the stakes had just been raised.
Back at my desk, a new notification awaited me. Jake 3.0 update in progress. Panic surged through me. I tried to shut down the computer, but it was no use. The update continued, its progress bar mocking me with every percentage point. I had to find out what these upgrades meant, what they were turning me into. Was I becoming a pawn in their game, or was I being groomed for a far more sinister role?
His phone buzzed again, the same chilling voice. Embrace the change, Jake. It's time for you to become the person you were meant to be.
The CEO's office was opulent, intimidating. I sat across from the imposing figure of Mr. Davis, my gut churning with apprehension.
We need someone to step up, Jake. Someone strong, capable, someone like you. Fred's gone. Thomas is out of commission. You're next in line for the CEO.
Jake felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. It was happening again. The promotion, the sense of being manipulated, the fear.
I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of my new office, the city sprawling beneath me like a concrete jungle. The view was breathtaking, a testament to the heights I had climbed in my career. But as I gazed out, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The city, with all its grandeur, seemed to mock me, reminding me of the sacrifices I had made to get here. I had the promotion, the corner office, everything I thought I ever wanted. The accolades, the respect of my peers, the financial security, it was all within my grasp. Yet, as I sat at my mahogany desk, the weight of my new responsibilities pressed down on me. The letter of promotion felt heavy in my hands, a symbol of my success, but also a reminder of the expectations that came with it. Yet a deep unease gnawed at me. It was a feeling I couldn't quite pinpoint, a sense of foreboding that lingered in the back of my mind. Every decision, every move I made, seemed to be under scrutiny. The pressure was immense, and the stakes were higher than ever before. Was I a pawn in a game I didn't understand? The thought haunted me. I had always prided myself on being in control, on being the master of my own destiny. But now, it felt as though I was being manipulated, my every action dictated by unseen forces. The chessboard in my office became a metaphor for my life, each piece representing a different aspect of my existence. Who was behind the Jake updates? The mysterious messages that kept appearing in my inbox, the cryptic notes left on my desk. They all pointed to someone with intimate knowledge of my life. Someone who was watching my every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The name Jake had become synonymous with danger, a constant reminder that I was never truly alone. And what had they planned for me? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more troubling than the last. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being set up, that my every move was being orchestrated by someone with a sinister agenda. The conspiracy board in my office, filled with notes and photographs, was a testament to my growing paranoia.
The city lights twinkled below, a beautiful illusion masking a dark underbelly. Beneath the surface, secrets festered, and danger lurked in the shadows. The bustling streets filled with life and energy were a stark contrast to the darkness that seemed to envelop my world. It was a city of contrasts, where the line between success and failure, between light and dark, was razor thin. He was in too deep. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Every decision he had made, every step he had taken had led him to this moment. There was no turning back now. The path he had chosen was fraught with danger, but it was the only path available to him. He had to see it through, no matter the cost. There was no turning back. The choices he had made had set him on a course that could not be altered. The dark hallway he walked down was a metaphor for his journey, filled with uncertainty and peril. The closed doors represented the opportunities he had missed, the paths not taken. But he couldn't dwell on the past. He had to focus on the future, on the challenges that lay ahead.
I would play their game, but I would play it my way. I was determined to take control of my destiny, to turn the tables on those who sought to manipulate me. The fire of determination burned within me, fueling my resolve. I would not be a pawn in their game. I would be the one calling the shots. I would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The stakes were high, but I was willing to risk everything to get to the bottom of the mystery. The investigative reporter within me sprang to life, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a thirst for justice. I would leave no stone unturned, no lead unexplored. The truth was out there, and I was determined to find it. The game had just begun. The pieces were in place, and the first move had been made. It was a game of strategy, of wit and cunning, and I was ready to play. The chessboard in my office was no longer just a metaphor. It was a battleground, a place where I would fight for my future, for my very survival. The game had just begun, and I was determined to win.